everybody, Abigail Adler, still me, and I'm still here with the homemade, this is the homemade arts kit. So I'm going to go through everything that comes in your art kit of homemade art supplies, which is special for kids ages 3 to 6 to make homemade art supplies at home. And everything here I'll go through and you'll see exactly what you can do with it. So first of all, you have a pad of about 7 or 8 pages of nice Bristol paper. Again, everything you do, you can do on nice paper, regular paper, but this is just to get you started. I find with little kids that it's definitely the process, not necessarily the product, and you don't need to have 5,000 pieces of paper laying around that they've worked on. So, you know, when they've done a project, after it's dry, turn it over and use the other side. You can always paint over several different paintings and things like that on the paper. It's really about the process and exploring the fun. Also, making the art supplies is also, I think, what the kids really remember the most and have the most fun with. And then they can kind of, once they're done, they can kind of mix supplies together. Just randomly pulling things out of this bag. Okay, we have shaving cream. You can use shaving cream or shaving gel. I think this happens to be gel. And we're going to use this in the slime making kit. And also, don't use all of it because you need it for 2 things in this kit. You need it for homemade puffy paint and for slime. Okay, we have flour. Okay, a bag of at least 2 cups of flour, but you know, you should have that at home, so you can always do more of that later. That's for the homemade Play-Doh. Let's see what else I'm pulling out. Some random papers to experiment with. We have bubble wrap, which you can use in your homemade paintbrushes. You can also paint on here with the mud paint, and you can stamp it on your paper and get different textures. We have Geves, right? Avkat Geves, or plaster of Paris, and that is for making the homemade sidewalk chalk. We have white glue, which you're going to use for making homemade puffy paint, and also slime. We have a few mixing cups just to mix different colors of paint together, or put the paint and then mix. This is good for your mud paint. You can pour some dirt in here and add a little water, and then you'll mix the colors in here. Okay, you are going to have a bag of lots of little supplies of things you're going to use for different things. Here you have, it's a little yellow and a liquid. I'll hold it up individually. You have a couple paintbrushes. Okay, for using. You have a mixing stick, or 2 or 3, and you have pipettes. Now these are little eyedroppers, and the great way to use them, practice with the kids, is with have them use, you know, squeeze it, go right, like we're sucking up from a straw, and then bloop. Try and practice letting 1 drop at a time go down, because if not, everything will just splurt out. And it's okay, but this way you have more control. So that's a good skill. You have a rolling pin, which you can use for your homemade Play-Doh once it's made. We have, okay, here you have gouache, which is washable paint in your primary colors, and you can experiment by mixing red and yellow and ask the kids, you know, what do you get when you mix red and yellow? What do you get when you mix red and blue, or blue and yellow? Get all your colors from here, and anything you want to make lighter, you mix a little white. But first start with the white and then add some color. That's a good trick. You have a little container with some powder in here, and that's borax, okay? Now this is, be careful, make sure that you have kids that are not going to eat stuff, that will know the difference between, you know, if you have kids that put everything in their mouth, this kit is not for them. This is for making slime, which we'll go over the borax and what to do with that in the slime making kit video, which is attached separately. You have 2 colors of food coloring, and of course you're welcome to add from home. Here we have purple and green. If you have red and yellow, you can mix the color. If you have red and yellow, you can make orange, red, yellow, whatever you want. You can use this for the Play-Doh. You have a little container of glitter, which is great for your slime to make it sparkly. And you have a little glass yellow container that is oil. It's just vegetable oil, and really for the Play-Doh you only need a teaspoon of this, so you can make a few batches with this, but any vegetable oil at home will work as well. Okay, you have a bag of salt, which is going to be used for your homemade Play-Doh. You have a bag of corn flour, and it says on it corn flour. and that's for oobleck, which is a great type of slime that's clean and easy to deal with. It's a non-Newtonian fluid, and basically you mix this with water and the kids can feel that if you put pressure on it, it's a solid. If you let it go, it's a liquid. Some other different cards for playing, experimenting, different textures and things. You have straws, which you can use for blow painting if your paint is thin enough. Also mixing the food coloring with some water and soap, but just practice first and make sure they're blowing out and not sucking in like using a straw, okay? And then you can make blow paint. You have a couple of these little clothespins, big clothespins, and these are for making homemade paintbrushes, right? What you do is you can make things like all different textures. You have these fuzzy balls where you can dip like this to get into the paint and to paint on. And you also can do that with your puffy, your bubble wrap. You kind of fold the bubble wrap. You don't need such a huge piece, obviously, to get different textures and use that for painting. Kids can also go outside and collect grass, leaves, and put them on the ends and make their own paintbrushes from those. So the last thing you have is all the recipe cards, which we'll go over in the individual videos for each one. And I hope you enjoy and have a great time with your kids in these kits. Send us your pictures and tag us on Facebook. Take care.